kids cardiac. Catch me in the Muni where the party at. Dog pound, turn up with the elf up on my starter cap. Brought him back, boy, we from the land and we proud of that. Louder man, front to the back, here we go, I got him shouting that. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go, Brownies. Let's go. Game on the line, Joe Thomas, I promise. Jim Brown running through opponents, how I got this. I return like Josh Cripps. Paying for the mini, got the dog pound jumping. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go, Brownies. Stand up. Here we go, Brownies. Let's go.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Here We Go Brownies podcast. I'm Allie Ellery, coming at you live from Pensacola, Florida. Joined with me, as always, out in Cleveland, we've got Dustin. Dustin, how's it going?
Good. Quarterbacks. I'm sure we're going to talk about quarterbacks tonight, but interesting game up there in Philly. A lot of people are angry, happy, and different. Don't go to Twitter if you're a Browns fan. It'll take you into the abyss, but things are good. Browns are looking decent. I might have a hot take tonight. Drop a couple things on Allie and see how she feels. Thinks if I'm crazy or drinking the Kool-Aid. But I got to tell you, I'm excited to go watch a Browns preseason game this Saturday at 1 o'clock against the Rams. I'm going to get to see Joe Flacco. I think this is not a news flash. I think everybody knew Joe Flacco was going to be the starter week 1. But I'm excited to see a lot of the ones finally playing a football game and see what this offense is going to look like 2 weeks later against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, no surprise there. We're going to get into it. We've got a lot to talk about. We're going to recap the game against the Eagles, kind of look ahead to the Rams, and, of course, a couple of things that have transpired over the past weeks. We'll talk about all of that before we get into it. Just a quick word from our friends over at Mr. Hero.
SOS, I could use a hero right about now. My faith in love is upside down. H-E-R-O, where will we all go? SOS, I could use a hero right about now.
Mr. Hero's turning 60. We're proud to have served your favorite cravings for 60 years in celebrating what we do best. Thanks, Ohio.
I crave a hero.
You need to check out Mr. Hero. Get the app. They've got plenty of offers just for signing up. Buy one, get one, rewards, points, all of that good stuff. You can order from the app. So be sure to check that out over at Mr. Hero.
And I was just going to say, we just sent out a bunch of 4-packs, like 6 4-packs to winners from the show. Who wouldn't like to feed their family and 4 and get in the mail? So look in your mailbox. Those guys and gals that won. Look for those coming from Mr. Hero. They'll be mailing those out to you. So look forward to feeding your family this week.
All right, let's just start with what transpired over the past week, and then we'll get into the games. So let's start with Joe Flacco. Any surprise? He is named the starter.
No. In fact, if he wasn't, well, I guess in a world maybe. Well, we'll get into this. I know I'm going to get down on a tangent. No, first, to answer your question, no, I'm not surprised. But unless there was a world where Shador doesn't have his oblique and he gets to play another game and he lights it out and Kenny Pickett's not hurt, no, I don't think this is a surprise. Like, this is kind of obvious, right? I mean, I do find it shocking that the healthiest man on this roster has a 48 or 40-year-old man as the most healthy quarterback on this football team and has stayed healthy. But it just goes to show you how prepared he is as an athlete and has been for his entire career. But no, and people are now out there. The narrative is out there. Is this just an insurance policy for the Browns? Are they just doing this because Kevin Stefanski's it's a job security thing? No, I think he's the best quarterback on the roster right now to start week 1 and give us a chance to win. If someone said, if I'm Coach Dustin and I'm in that seat, I'm like, yeah, he gives us the best shot against the Cincinnati Bengals week 1. Like, he's the guy.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Even if you have a fully healthy Kenny Pickett, who I think probably would have competed for the starting job. I think it in terms of the starters, when they signed Joe Flacco and traded for Kenny Pickett, it was going to be one of those two, regardless of what they did in the draft. One of those two were going to be starting week 1. It's no surprise to me that it is Joe Flacco. I at all. He is, in my opinion, the most ready to go quarterback on this team, and I don't think that's too much of a surprise to anybody. I do think I do think that we will get a chance to see almost every other quarterback on this roster at some point. I do think that at some point everybody will have somewhat of an opportunity. But look, you look at the schedule, you're headed out there kind of at a pretty nasty front part of this schedule. I think it's best to have Joe Flacco, the most veteran of the group, the most healthy of the group, and the most ready to go of the group out there to kind of lead by example, be in situations that he's been in before, that the three others ultimately, or four others, five others, if you will, maybe have not been in. So he is by far, I think, the most ready to go and gives the Browns the best chance at winning those games the first couple of weeks of this season.
Yeah, and I will tell you this, even in my own building, like everybody knows I work for a sports company, the narrative is and has been, well, the Browns aren't going to be very good this year. And I want to push back on that a little bit because I saw something that kind of, put me in a different lane. There was a guy, I think it was CBS Sports, and he was talking about Joe Flacco. And he literally said, you look at the defense, they're going to be the strength of this football team. He goes, but with Joe Flacco and the capabilities of what he goes, there's no reason the Cleveland Browns can't be a 9 or 10 win team. And then he systematically laid out how they could be a 9 or 10 win team. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Like at the end of the day, they could be a 9 or win team. And the reason is Cincinnati Bengals you don't know what you're getting week one. I mean, they've got a hot mess with their defensive guy that they're trying to trade now. I mean, they've got all kinds of issues on that football team. And we kind of have our number for a lot of times against the Bengals. And then, are the Ravens going to be a tough out? Yeah, but guess what? Joe Flacco is going back there for the first time as a Brown. And guess what he's never done? He's never won in his old house. Like, there's some redemption in football, right? And then you come back home with the Packers. That'll be a tough out. But these aren't unwinnable games, right? So if you can get 2-2, to start the season, and then you kind of find yourself, this team can be competitive. And I think even the coaching staff knows that. Like we have something here, and this crap out there about this is the worst roster. We'll get into this about a weak wide receiver core. Well, we just got a gift given to us at a wide receiver. If he pans out, ends up being the player that everybody thinks he's going to be. We could be a real dangerous team if we get Judkins and all these guys back, down the road. We're not a bad football team when you put it all together. And if it clicks, that's.
It's not that different from 2 years ago when Joe Flacco took this team to the playoffs. That team is not that different from this team.
No.
It's kind of the same thing, actually, in a lot of ways. And in fact, I think that we're maybe a little bit better in some departments, probably a better offensive line at this point than maybe where we were 2 years ago. Receiving core, of course, we know what that looks like, but defense certainly is better. So I agree with you. I do think that the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. We're not going to be the worst team in the league. I don't really think that we'll be a 10-win team. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to be, but I think it's kind of probably somewhere in the middle. I really think the Browns could win anywhere from 5 to 8 games this season. I think that's absolutely possible.
And I think they're in that 7 to 9 category because if you start out kind of 500-ish and you find your way and Judkins, gets in there and these guys start doing their thing, and you're doing, you're running the clock out and your defense is creating turnovers and it's not unheard of. And I know this, Allie, as a Browns fan, for whatever reason, when the Browns' expectations are up here, they blank the bed. Okay. When their expectations are here, they outkick their coverage and they put 10 or 11 wins on, because I don't think anybody in 2023 with that quarterback carousel that went through Cleveland and then Joe Flacco coming, if you told somebody that this team is 11-5 and they're going to lose their last game because their playoff seeding doesn't change, they would have called us crazy. This team is not a playoff team. But again, I don't know I tell you what I do see different about this team. They're playing more physical in training camp. So I think there's a different mentality this year. They didn't go to we'll call it the resort Greenbrier. They didn't do the country club scene. And you know what? I don't know if you see all the reels and the social media coming out, like with Joe Flacco being funny, with like actually David Njoku and like Wyatt Teller doing crazy. Like that's a team that's loose and kind of, I don't know. There's good I don't know. I see synergy that I don't know. The culture seems to be like, yeah, we'll figure out the quarterback position, but we're okay here. Like, let's go do our thing. Like, I don't know. I don't know. It has a different feel to it to me this year than it has in years
It
past.
doesn't have that same darkness. And I mean, a lot of people can probably pinpoint potentially what that darkness is and has been. And when it's not around the team, it is a looser situation. Now, I can't speak to that more than what I just said because I'm not part of the organization to know,
Right.
but that's the way it seems.
Right.
So no surprise there that Joe Flacco was named the starter. I think he does give this team the best shot at winning. And Dustin, if we really think that the Browns do have aspirations to be, in the realm of wins that you were talking, I think Flacco's the one that can get us there. Like I said, I do think we will see some of the other guys just at certain points during this season, but the bulk of it, I think, starts with Joe Flacco, and I feel pretty good about that. I really do. You mentioned a potential gift. The Browns do sign Isaiah Bond. We know that he had allegations coming out of college, out of the draft, and previously with a former player of the Alabama Crimson Tide, then goes to Texas, was in a very electric offense there. Had some comments at the combine and was kind of humbled there. So he comes with a little bit, but
Right.
I'm gonna speak to that as I don't have necessarily all the facts, but we know that the Browns bring him in, gives another option in the receiving room. Now, I don't think Isaiah Bond is going to be. He's not going to come in and be Jerry Jeudy. I think he's a similar player to Jerry Jeudy, but I think that in terms of production, I don't think he automatically falls into wide receiver 2 situation. I really do think that it is still going to be Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, and honestly Thrash right there. Those are your receivers. Now,
Thrash has really earned his role in
really
preseason.
has. It really has. More to come on that later on in the show. But I think that if you can get a couple of 100 yards out of Isaiah Bond on the season, like, hell yeah, sign me up for that. If you can get anything better than that, I mean, yes, then it becomes a gift.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what he did at Texas, and his electric speed, I mean, I think he ran a 4.36, that's what was a 40-yard dash, like a 4. So his speed, was I correct? Was he the fastest wide receiver at the draft or close?
No.
I mean, he was.
That was the issue. He said he was going to be, he was going to be the fastest. He ran a 4.39, like still very, very impressive.
Yeah, I know it's 4.3 something, but I'm just saying, like a guy like that, even if he's wide receiver 4 or wherever he falls, I mean, you think about kickoff returns. I mean, all those other positions that he could use his speed to a weapon on this football team. Could be very valuable, right? I mean, I think he could, if he can be somewhat of a Swiss Army knife in some ways too, that could be helpful to this team other than just wide receiver, because obviously they don't sign him not to make the 53-man roster. So.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's going to make this team. It was Matthew Golden, his teammate, actually out of Texas, was the fastest at the combine. That was the thing with Isaiah Bond. He had comments saying that he was going to break the record, and then was very quickly humbled at the combine. Still an impressive performance, but not what he said he was going to do. So that was some of the drama surrounding that. But look, I think that if he can come in and give you just some rotational value, yeah, that's what this team needs. I mean, we've been saying that this receiving room has been thin, so it certainly gives you some stability there. I think he's going to be a serviceable player. I think that we'll see enough of him this season, but again, I don't think it solves the issue necessarily right now.
Right.
But later, maybe down the road into the season, I think that seeing more and more of him, I think there's obviously a lot of value here to be able to get Isaiah Bond, basically undrafted. That's really cool. When you take a look at this draft class, it's a really impressive draft class, assuming that they all work out, of course. But
it's funny. It's funny you bring that bring that up, Alex, someone said they brought up something really interesting. They were like, if you told me a year ago, right, when the Browns were in the gloom and doom of, or 8-10 months ago, that the Browns would have Fannin, Mason Graham, all these guys, Shador Sanders, that was going to be your draft class, we would have been like, well, okay, whatever. That can't even happen, right? Like, and the fact that we were able to, if these guys hit, and we know some of them, we think the linebacker is going to hit. You know, there's some of these guys that we think are going to be true good players in the future. Man, if we hit on 4 or 5 of these draft picks, we're in hell of a good shape going forward, because, you know, that's been some of our downfalls in the past. We've hit and missed on some of these draft picks. But, man, if we hit on these guys and they all become who they really are, then you're right.
Well, that's why we said this draft is so important. You have to get some of these players right, because if you don't, this sets you back in a big way, just where you are financially going into the season. But if you get, I mean, Jason, like you put here, you know, top 6 players in college last season on rookie contracts, yeah, you're set up. That's a really good foundation going into the next few years. So I agree with that. Before we get into the next segment here, talking about the game, I want to tell you about our friends over at Stadium Mustard. Guys, if you don't have Stadium Mustard in your kitchen this season, you are doing it wrong. The iconic brand, the iconic taste, beloved from ballparks to backyards and everywhere in between. Stadium Mustard is a smooth brown mustard rich in both taste and tradition. By the way, it is loved by millions, so be sure to head on over to stadiummustard.com to shop now. Let's get into the preseason game against the Eagles. I see Jason's comment here. What did I think about Dillon Gabriel? Look, let's just get into that. We started this last show talking about Shador Sanders' performance. Let's start with quarterback here and Dillon Gabriel's performance. Overall, I thought it was good. I don't put that turnover on him necessarily. There was a funky handoff and that interception. I really think that was on Blake Whitehurt there. Overall, out of Dillon Gabriel, I liked what I saw. He was poised. He was accurate. He was elusive. He was fairly comfortable. Now, I know that he wasn't going through his entire progression on every single drop back, but you don't really expect that out of a rookie in a half of football in a preseason game. I liked it. I thought it was good football. He looked comfortable operating this offense. Plenty of short to intermediate, getting the ball into some tight windows. Overall, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, and I guess me, because I've seen both of them right now, Shador Sanders and him, kind of given the same kind of opportunity, right? And I'm not as, I guess I'm not going to be as complimentary. And I guess what I mean by that is I saw a guy that went out there and made some good plays, some tough plays. I also know if the assignment's not there and it's missed, you still can't throw that ball. You have to throw it out of bounds. And you can't throw into that tight coverage and possibly have what happened. Then you get another turnover in the game. And then I started like, okay, what would I look like from a coach's standpoint, like looking at both these guys? I felt like Shador Sanders got better as the game went on, and Gabriel peaked, but then he regressed as the game went along. And what I mean by that is I looked at it and I said, well, okay, you've got turnovers. And if you have turnovers in an NFL game, you're done. Like 2 turnovers in a game like that, you lose that football game. And I just think he didn't take care of the ball as well. And so that's how I kind of graded them, just evenly how they progressed during the game. So for me, and then I thought, okay, Stefanski. Well, we all know the first drive is scripted. So we know that that's a pretty well-tuned script that even for Shador, same thing, like when he went out there, right? That's scripted. And they both did really well that first series, right? They both did very well on their first series. Except for, he kind of had that 3 and out, but that first one that he really could run all the plays. Turnovers are just the Achilles heel for me. Is just you can't do that in the NFL. And I don't know. I think I gave him a B, but I didn't like as much. Some people thought he did really great, and I'm like, okay, that's fine, but turnovers are bad for me. It's
preseason, right? Like this is practice. And again, like we said with the first preseason game, you're going out there in an effort to see what guys can do, what decisions they're going to make. Now, look, with Shador, and with Dylan Gabriel, one thing I want to be very clear on this podcast, and frankly, you're kind of doing it here, and I don't want to do this. We're not pinning these two against each other.
No, not at all. No, I'm just saying I was looking to it from a coach's lens. Yeah.
But you're not a coach. So, we're not, I don't want to pin these two. We're not comparing the two. I mean, we are, because we saw essentially the equivalent amount of football out of the two of them.
Right.
But at the end of the day, they're both Cleveland Browns. And at the end of the day, I want one of these guys to work out. Who that's going to be, we don't know. We don't know, because we saw a half of football from each of them with third to fourth fringe players in preseason games. That's really difficult to judge. Neither of us are really in any position to give out actual grades of football. We are not there at all during outside of a couple of days of training camp, but really to be able to analyze this. So we're not really that equipped to talk on it now.
Well, I will say this. I mean, looking at both guys at training camp, the one thing that did worry me at training camp is the pocket collapse sometimes very quickly on Dylan. And I'm like, that's a sack. That's a sack. That's a sack. So I did see some of that at camp that worried me just because of his size and that pocket collapsing and him not being able to get out around the offensive line. And that's just because of his height, and just, I mean, you can't change a guy's height, it is what it is. I would say the same things about Kyler Murray or a smaller quarterback in the NFL. He wasn't it didn't seem like he was, he couldn't get out of that, thing. And here's the truth. Myles Garrett said on the sideline too. Yeah. If I was on the other side of you in that preseason game, you wouldn't have got away from me. I would have sacked you. Like, you know what I mean? We know that. So it is preseason. We have to pump the brakes on that. But yeah. I'll just be full disclosure. I don't like the depth chart for the Cleveland Browns at quarterback right now. It is maddening to me, and I don't understand it. And I guess where I'm going with that is Joe Flacco is clearly your number one starter. I mean, and should be number one. But the fact that, like, Kenny Pickett is still number 2 on the depth chart and has barely seen – he hasn't seen – we just found out today he's not even going to see a preseason game this Saturday. So he's not going to see one snap in the preseason, and he has basically not been at much of the training camp. Like, I don't even know how you can put a guy at number 2 that's – like, he hasn't even earned that number 2 because he hasn't been on the field.
I mean, one thing that we need to keep in mind, too, preseason depth charts are not the official depth charts. Now, most likely going into the final 53-man roster, if all 4 of these quarterbacks are on the roster, probably expect to see it as it is. And that is Flacco, Pickett, and the 2 rookies. And really based off of, one, just what was paid to, or what we spent to acquire these guys. That's part of it. And also, it doesn't mean that it can't change, and it will change. I think that the 2 young guys have, of course, the most upside. Mm-hmm. But we can't exclude Kenny Pickett from that conversation. Just because we haven't seen him does not mean that he doesn't deserve a spot on this depth chart, especially at number 2. If that's what this coaching staff thinks of him, just because we haven't personally seen him doesn't mean that that's not a worthy spot. I mean, if this was Joe Flacco, somebody that we are familiar with, and he was battling injury this entire preseason, if we said, well, him at number 1 or number 2, that's egregious. I think that just because this is the way it is in preseason, it doesn't matter. Like, these preseason depth charts do not matter. The first rendition of the 53-man roster doesn't matter. It does not matter. What matters is week 6, who is your number 2 quarterback?
Well, here's my problem with that. So not with what you said, but just the if that ends up being the order of our quarterbacks going into week 1, I don't feel confident Kenny Pickett being my backup when we go week 1, if that's the guy you've designated for Joe Flacco getting hurt out there, a guy that hasn't taken a snap in a preseason game and played in a live preseason game, that makes me nervous as hell. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that guy hasn't had any real game time reps other than, a handful of.
Would you say that if Joe Flacco hadn't participated at all during training camp?
I think I kind of would have to, yeah, because my point being, he hasn't had any reps. Like, he doesn't like, and that's why I'm so excited that Joe Flacco is playing this Saturday, right? Like, we're going to actually get to see him with live balls and getting ready. I am always the belief of practice makes anything better at what you do. And when you're not out there, you don't, I mean, we can say this about like Deshaun Watson. clearly the rust was rust, and he was not playing well. And when you're not out there and you haven't been out there for 6-8 weeks, and then all of a sudden Joe Flacco, God forbid, in week 1 goes down against the Bengals, well, we're calling Kenny Pickett. Well, he hasn't seen a live ball in how long? Like that worries me. Like, right? Like as a fan, like, but I don't like that. Like I'd rather throw Dylan Gabriel or Shador Sanders out there who's played in the last 2 weeks in a live game that has played
a half of football. They've played a half of football. And that's the hard thing, because I mean, with that logic, then Matt Stafford hasn't played a single snap at his training camp, but expected to go week 1. Now we'll see if that actually happens, if they're
and again, that guy has not seen any of training camp. And if I'm a Rams fan,
logic, you're saying, well, I don't want to see him out there week 1.
But I'm telling you, like the same thing. If I'm a Rams fan and he's my week 1 starter, I'm very nervous because that guy hasn't seen live football and he has not been he's been hurt. That's a very nerve-wracking situation. 100%. Like that's not a good situation for the Rams.
Okay.
But you know what? But I'm also the belief we've got 10 days. I think Kenny Pickett's still going to be dealt. I still feel that way, and I felt that way for 3 minutes. Because there's a lot of quarterback positions on multiple NFL teams that are not solidified yet. I think I still am of the belief we're not going to keep 4 quarterbacks. And the only reason I feel this way, it messes up your roster. It makes it uneven, and it causes other places like wide receiver and corner where you need depth. And I don't know how we keep 4 quarterbacks, especially when you sign a guy like Bond that you think should be part of. I mean, I don't know how you keep 4. That's just me, but it's
okay.
Yeah.
All right. With that, we're going to bring on David here just for the sake of time. A quick word from our friends over at Lorella Vineyards.
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woof, woof.
Hello. Welcome to Lorello Vineyards. Larry and Kim Lorello. We have a beautiful Here We Go Brownies wine that we would like to offer to you this season as we did last season. We have several other award-winning wines, lovely entertainment and events coming this summer. So come and see us. Wine a bit. You'll feel better.
Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you at the Muni lot this fall. Go Browns.
All right, let's bring him on. This is the Medical Moment brought to you by Lorello Vineyards. We've got Dr. David Ullery on, the husband of the program. Hi, David.
Hi, Allie. Hi, Dustin. How are you guys?
David, good to see you.
Great seeing you.
What's happening?
Oh, just enjoying a Wednesday afternoon. So ready for football. Oh, my gosh. I can't wait. Every day we inch closer and closer. I get more and more excited. We've got a draft scheduled for tomorrow night. We've got a draft scheduled for the 1st. We are rocking and rolling with fantasy. It is football time. I can't wait.
With that, we've got a draft tomorrow. I'm sitting at number 2. I've got the number 2 overall pick. I've got a couple of things in my head of what I'm thinking. I mean, what do we think? Now, here's the caveat. In most leagues, Jamar Chase is going number 1 in a standard PPR league. Jamar Chase is going to go number 1. And at number 2, you're looking at Bijan. You're looking at Saquon. You're looking at, you could throw Jahmyr Gibbs into the conversation. You've got a couple of guys there that you're looking at. But the caveat is the person that holds the number 1 overall pick in this particular draft is a 6-year-old. So very well just pick.
How does that even happen? Why is the 6-year-old number 1 in the draft?
It's our family league.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, that sounds like a family draft. I was like, how does the 6-year-old get it back? I will tell you this, there are some strategies to those drafts. Do you take a quarterback or running back because of the points, right? It's all about the points. You know what I was thinking? I'm not going to, I don't know if he's watching the show or not, but I got invited to a draft. But you know who I was thinking about taking? If I with my first, it's someone like Josh Allen, because he can give you points with his legs and his arm.
It depends. It depends on is it a 1 or 2 quarterback league?
Right. That's true. If it's a 2 quarterback league, right, it's different.
If it's a 2 quarterback league, yeah, you take it. But if it's a 1 quarterback league, it depends on where you're picking. I think there's value. But yeah, I agree with that. Okay. Anyways, if you have any ideas, everybody in the comments, let's just assume Jamar's going at 1. If he doesn't, I'm going to take him, obviously. But at number 2, who should I take? Put it in the comments. David, turning it over to you. Let's talk injuries. We know that there was kind of a close call with Denzel. Thankfully, nothing crazy there. But I'll turn it over to you. Give us the rundown.
Yep. So just to kind of go over the official injury report that gets populated throughout the offseason. Going back to August 16th, that's the most recent update since we were on the show last. Cornelius Lucas, that was the game on Saturday. He was ruled out for the remainder of the game due to an ankle injury, but it doesn't seem like it's a long-term injury there. We all know that Shedeur has been dealing with an oblique injury, and as of yesterday, was not practicing. But the good news is that today he did return to practice and potentially has an opportunity to play some on Saturday if things continue to go well tomorrow and Friday. So we'll see how he does the rest of this week. But the good news is he has returned to practice, and so hopefully, like we talked about last week, this is just a 1 to 2 week scenario type of injury. He kind of eases back in, maybe isn't throwing deep balls, maybe he's on a pitch count, and hopefully gets a little bit of playing time, maybe second quarter or second half even on Saturday, and just has an upward trajectory from there. You brought it up. Denzel Ward was also listed on the injury report yesterday. He had a shoulder injury that he sustained during practice yesterday, but it was not believed to be serious. Right now he's listed as day-to-day, but they believe it's not serious and it shouldn't keep him out for very long. It's probably just more a precautionary thing, especially as a veteran. He doesn't need to be out there every single snap. And then today, listed on the official injury report, Cedric Tillman. He did not practice today, but it is described as a non-serious thumb injury. Stefanski even said after practice that he's dealing with a thumb injury that's not serious and expects him to be back soon. And then finally, as we know, Kenny Pickett, he will not play in the game this Saturday, and he's listed as questionable on the injury report as well. One other notable thing, Mary Kay tweeted out about JOK being at practice. He was welcomed by his teammates after practice today. Obviously still a big part of the team, even though he's out all year with a neck injury, but he's going to be around a lot, coaching, mentoring, cheering him on, just doing what he can to still be a contributing member of this team, even though he can't suit up.
Yeah. That's
Love
good.
that.
Love that he's, able to be there. I think that just having him, his bright light in that locker room is so valuable, especially with a very young linebacker room. That's important. So just his presence alone is valuable, and I'm just glad that he can be there. What else? Oh, these comments are killing me. Hangnail, unreal.
No, my favorite was the winner gets a juice box. That was my favorite comment.
Yeah,
the winner of the draft gets a jukebox.
Deacon would love that. Deacon is 6 years old, and he would be very happy with the juice box. But so David, just talking a little bit more about the Denzel situation. I mean, just that alone, and thankfully he's okay, but just that alone, that headline of he had a shoulder situation, it's a scary thought, because if something happens there, this is already a very thin cornerback room, very thin. You don't feel very good going into this. And I remember just maybe a week or two ago coming into this conversation, I was saying, oh, you know what? You've got Cam Mitchell. You feel okay about that. After 2 preseason games, I'm pretty comfortable changing my mind and saying, no, I don't feel very good about this. Yeah. They need depth. I think with Denzel, with any risk of injury, kind of to put it bluntly here, it scares the living crap out of me.
Yep. Yeah. I completely agree. You're exactly right. The depth is not where it was even just a couple weeks ago. And you hear injury to him, and we already know he's so concussion prone that you start looking at the depth chart behind him, and it's like, all right, so who's still available in free agency? Because we're going to need to look at starting to sign someone soon. Yeah. So fortunately, Stefanski even said it's day-to-day, and he should be back pretty soon. So that tells me it's a contusion, it's a sprain. It's nothing serious. It's not a fracture or a tear. And kind of like you alluded to with Denzel, they're going to take every precaution that they can to protect him and his health, just because he is going to be vitally important to the secondary this year, as he is every year, but especially this year with other players dealing with injuries too, with Emerson and then, Newsom kind of on and off the injury report too.
I think there's a very real possibility, and I think that the Browns should be all in on any of the free agent corners that are available. But I think taking it a step further, not just looking at the waiver wire when the roster cut down happens, but actually really thinking about a trade here. I think that is a huge area of concern. And for as good as we project this defense to be, one slight injury to this room can be detrimental, can be a really big deal. We always talk about you can never have too many corners, and it just seems like every year at the start of the season after the draft, we're like, wow, we actually feel good about the cornerback room, and then here comes training camp, and it's like, holy crap, how are we going to get by through the season? And it's not even week 1. So I would be on high alert that it's possible that they're going to bring somebody else in, and I'm very hopeful that is the case.
Yeah, and I mean, we all talk about, in terms of the quarterback room, what they're going to do with there. I mean, we know that there are some tradable options, including someone like Kenny Pickett. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to move him for some depth in defense at cornerback. I think that would be a great kind of option just to bolster the defensive backfield.
Yeah.
Well, especially with a team that doesn't have their quarterback's position solidified. And if he's healthy and ready to go, he's an option for week 2. If you're at a team and you don't really know who's going to be your starter, I mean, Kenny Pickett is a serviceable guy that can go in there and help another team. I mean, that's why you have assets on your team. And we have 6 quarterbacks right now. We could probably do with less than, we can get rid of 2 easily. We can't get rid of 1, but we can get rid of 2 for sure. But yeah, I mean, David, you bring up a good point. You can't have enough corners on a football team. And that's why before you jumped on here, I was telling Allie, I don't want to keep 4 quarterbacks just for that simple reason. It's inevitable. It's a physical game. It's violent. Stuff happens. Guys get banged up, and it's the next man up in the cornerback room. And you need a guy that can jump in. And Allie, Nathan Zagura was bringing it up on the play-by-play. He's like, I'm not feeling good about the way Cam Mitchell's looking out there in these preseason games. Like you're going to have to find some other guys that can help contribute, because unfortunately Martin Emerson is gone, and you're going to have to backfill here, and you got to do it in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, huge area of concern. You need inside help. You need outside help. You just need help. All in on that room. I want to talk about this, David, and not to spend a ton of time here, but of course we've seen the videos circulating of Deshaun Watson and him, dropping back and throwing the football. A lot of people have speculated, like, yeah, this is kind of weird to see him doing this at this time, but also from kind of the amateur eye, doesn't look like the Achilles is ready, the ankle's ready. What were your thoughts when you looked at that?
I mean, it's clear that he's still very motivated. I mean, no matter when we don't know the guy personally, we don't, have totally inside access to everything that he does, thinks, knows, and feels. But I mean, it's very clear that, being athletic, being competitive is still important to him. And I mean, I think overall that's one of the more important things you want to see in somebody recovering from an injury. But we all know how last year went. We all know how this organization, maybe not this organization, we all know how the fan base feels about this situation. And it's just a tricky thing to kind of navigate and talk about and think about. But just from a health and injury perspective, I mean, he is looking pretty good in terms of his drop back, his push off, just his mobility. We said over and over that going through a second surgery within a month or 2 because of a re-injury, a re-tear, is very concerning. I mean, it tells me that that tissue either wasn't very good, or he was doing something outside of the parameters he was supposed to be doing. Or it was just, I don't know, a freak accident. And, it's actually, he is going to heal and recover well. I mean, we've seen other quarterbacks have success after sustaining this injury. And maybe I wouldn't say success, but that they've returned and they've been able to play. I mean, obviously, even though the Jets weren't great last year, Aaron Rodgers had a very good statistical season. Kirk maybe is one of the outliers where he hasn't returned to full form, but he's also just kind of in a weird situation. But we've seen other players return as well. And so he's motivated. He's got plenty of resources around him to get the appropriate rehab care that he needs. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know when he's going to be available to play. I know, the second injury was in January, and we kind of, most things with an Achilles injury, it's a year to return. It's like an ACL. But he's looking pretty good at 7 months. I don't know if we'll see him this year playing in a game, but you never know.
Last year when Aaron Rodgers was coming back and it was like month 6 and he's like, I'm going to come back. And everybody's like, yeah, he's going to come back. But then obviously that didn't happen. But, that didn't happen. I kind of feel like we're in a little bit of a thing right now with Deshaun where it's like, okay, he's threatening with these videos, but like realistically, he that's pretty abnormal, I would
Yeah.
think. He would be
Yeah, and
available soon.
Yeah, and I think he's probably pretty far off still from game simulation, game playing. Because I mean, these are videos of him dropping back with nobody around him. Because then you have to add in the awareness of both your offensive line, your running back, and anybody coming at you from the defensive side, and then just the mental aspect of it. I mean, we all watched him play. There was not. He was a different player from when he was in Houston. He did not look like himself. He did not look confident. He did not look like he had the poise. And I mean, we said it watching these 2 preseason games that honestly, Shador and Dylan Gabriel looked more comfortable and poised in the pocket than Deshaun did for all the games that he played in for the Browns. And so you add in that element, and I don't have a very optimistic outlook that he's going to be playing any meaningful games or games at all this year. Now, does that mean he's never going to play again? No, I don't think so. He can definitely come back and play. And maybe part of this is by design, both by him and the organization, to show like, hey, he's motivated, he's coming back, and maybe it can be kind of, some fodder or some bait for somebody to take a trade, somebody to kind of like, put a flyer out for him and see if, the Browns can unload him somehow to a different team. I don't know. But I agree, Ali. At the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers kind of, threw out the carrot that, hey, I'm coming back early, and he didn't. And this might be a very similar smokescreen here.
Yeah. So I have a question along those lines, and I'm not sure what the protocol is. But say we get into week 10 or 12 and he's cleared, physically able. What are the Browns' options at that point if he's like physically cleared? I mean, you technically can't just set him, right? But I mean, that affects his contract. That creates a whole other thing. I mean, that's a weird situation, right? Like, hey, I can play, but you're not going to put me in. Like, how do you guys see that kind of playing out? Because I think that's going to be very odd.
Yeah, I don't think that situation will happen. Truthfully, I really don't think that we're going to see Deshaun Watson this season. Like, if I had to place a bet on this, I just don't think that we will. I think that the Browns probably don't want to see him either, even though that they're playing him. At the start of the show, Dustin, we said there's a specific light that sometimes, or a darkness that's on this, that overcasts this team sometimes, and that's Deshaun Watson. And I just don't think it's necessarily anything that anybody really wants. I think the Browns probably don't want it, and this is the easiest situation just to let it ride. And it doesn't mean he's not motivated to make some kind of a comeback, whether that's for the Browns or for somebody else. But it's a really uncomfortable and awkward situation. And I'm just very thankful that we do have some hope with these young quarterbacks that maybe one of them could be the guy, and we can eventually just put all of this to bed. Eventually.
Yeah. And I mean, contractually, I don't know how that'll work because right now he's on the PUP list. And so if when we get down to the cut down, he remains on that or move to the IR, he'll have to sit out for at least the first 4 games. But after that, he can return. And so it kind of depends on how the team wants to label him. And I'm sure that there's some contract stipulations and kind of things that they have to work around to maneuver that. But they have very smart people in that organization that can manipulate contracts and statuses. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong, is next year his last year of his contract? Next year is the last year of the contract. Is that, if I'm correct on that? I think.
I don't have it pulled up in front of me. I believe that is the case, but I'd have to.
I thought that was the case. He was signed through 2026. That's what I thought.
That sounds about right. Okay. Real quick before we move on, I want to tell you about our friends over at True Fan Travel. Think of them as your ultimate sports road trip buddy, all about bringing you closer to the heart-pounding action of your favorite away games. Whether you're cheering from the stands or soaking in the local vibes, they make sure every trip is packed with those I was there moments. Grab your gear, make some memories with True Fan Travel. And also, we want to tell you about our friends over at City Barbecue. Guys, if you're looking for a really good lunch or dinner option, head on over to City Barbecue. They've got award-winning meats, sauces, and sides. Very friendly people. They can cater your events, so be sure to give them a call over at City Barbecue. I want to just kind of quickly here, David, I want to keep you on for this, kind of look ahead to this next preseason game on what we're looking forward to seeing. We don't really know what this is going to look like. Some teams are going to operate in the sense that they're just kind of going to rest a lot of people. I would expect the Browns to operate in the sense of a few years ago with the 4 preseason games. The third is typically where you play your starters, and I think that that's how they will go about this, expecting to see more ones in this game. Let's start with you, David, just what you're looking forward to in this matchup against the Rams.
Well, I'm certainly excited to see Joe Flacco suited up again, and just even if it's for a series, it's going to be nice to see him in uniform and see what the number one QB on the depth chart right now is doing and how he's moving and feeling. Because we can hear everything we want from camp, but until we actually see what he's doing and how he's moving, we don't know. I mean, he's 40 years old, so it's going to be very interesting to see just how much different he looks from 2 years ago, if at all. So excited about that, and just excited to see if some of the younger guys continue to make the impact they have. Guys like Jamari Thrash, seeing if Gage Larvadain is going to be back there and seeing if he can maybe kind of fill that role of DeAndre Carter and be kind of the new young DeAndre Carter, returning kicks, being on special teams, maybe, showing up on offense in 4 wide receiver scenarios or where he needs to come in and take a breather. So those are the things that I'm looking forward to.
Dustin, what do you think?
Yeah, I just want to see, like you said, some kind of simulation of what the regular season is going to look like. What do these guys look like with Joe Flacco? How the offense runs? Honestly, how the offensive line protects Joe Flacco. You're right. He's 40 years old. He needs to be protected. He needs to have a little time. But, boy, when he has time, he is dangerous back there. By the way, I've seen him up close. He still has the same hard spiral, and it looks smooth as glass when he throws that ball. So, but can he run around? No, if he has to, maybe, but we don't want him running around. We want him throwing the ball downfield and staying in the pocket. But, I'm excited to see this wide receiver group. I mean, you brought up a good point. I want to see how these guys develop with Flacco, how they look out there on the field. And quite honestly, just see how these guys gel as a team now with these starters, because to your point, we haven't seen a lot of these guys other than camp, right? But in a real live game situation, what this dress rehearsal is going to look like for 2 weeks from now. Does the offense look right? We've talked about that. Does it not look right? Does the defense look right? Do these guys look right to go in and fine tune things for the next 10 days before, their first game, so that's the whole thing that I'm looking for. But honestly, I'm just excited that frickin' football is back and we can watch some football, and I'm excited. By the way, David, I have already confirmed I am going to Notre Dame to watch the Boise State Notre Dame game. So I'm excited for that. I got 4 people going, so we're going to go check that game out. By the way, it's 16.5 points. We talk about, we like to be degenerate gamblers on this show. 16.5 is a lot. I mean, Notre Dame's good, but 16.5, what do you think, David? That's a lot of points.
I don't know much about Boise this year in terms of what they're returning, but I do know they don't have their key player anymore. And Notre Dame is returning quite a bit, and they were in the national championship game last year. So I know it seems like a lot, but I wouldn't be surprised if they win by 3 touchdowns.
Oh, David. By the way, David, we're ranked. We're in the top 25, and the only player we're not returning is Ashton Jeanty. Our entire offensive line is there, and they said there's at least 2 of those guys that will probably play in the NFL. So BSU always plays up for the big games. I think it's a touchdown or less. That's how I feel that game. I'm not saying we're going to win it. I mean, a crazy fan would say we're going to upset them on the road. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I think they can keep it. I think they can keep it close.
We'll see.
Yeah, there you go.
Jason, that's not nice. It's going to be a long day for you. Yeah, it's all right.
All right, real quick, Dustin, why don't you tell our listeners about Lady Caroline? What's going on there?
Yeah, guys, September 6th. By the way, we got 1 seat left. If you want that last seat to join us on September 6th for the Here We Go Brownies cruise with Yacht Rock, our friends over at Lake Erie Distillery will be there. The winery will be there with Larry with Here We Go Brownies wine. It's going to be a great time. September 6th. It's a lunch cruise noon. But yeah, join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. This is, by the way, the Saturday before the kickoff game for the Bengals home opener. So we board at 11, takes off at noon to 2. But right next door down there, by the way, if you're coming to Cleveland, let's give a shout out to our good friends over at the Greater Cleveland Aquarium. That's right. I was crazy enough to not be in the Shark Tank, but be in front of the Shark Tank a couple months ago. But yeah, check it out. It's a great place to take your kids, if your grandparents, but awesome place. The Shark Tank, there's the great, it's just a cool place to go in and to kind of discover all the different sea life in there. But yeah, check them out. But it should be fun. I'm looking forward to this cruise. It's going to be a sellout, which is kind of crazy. That's 230 people on a boat.
Yeah, Cool. All right. Well, something a little bit different here that David helped me out on this graphic, and Dustin, I didn't send this to you to prep on because this is a fun little Browns trivia that I found, and I did it. And I obviously wouldn't be fair for me to do it on the show with you because I've already done it and I already know the answers.
Oh, this is
But
David and Dustin contest.
well,
The two of
David
them.
knows he does know some of the. Oh, David's coming in. I'm going to kick David off. So he already knows the answers to this, so I don't think that would be fair. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We've got a little graphic here, and I'm curious if you are able to name all of the Browns' leading receivers since 2015. So, quick little graphic here. Let me share my screen. I will tell you this: it's not like crazy.
Since 2015.
Since 2015. Give me a moment here. All right.
How many physical players are there? Okay.
All right. So since 2015. So we've got the school here. Can you name? We have to go in order. That's just the way this graphic is designed. But starting with last year, who was the Browns' leading receiver that also went to Alabama?
Oh, that'd be Jerry Jeudy.
That would be Jerry Jeudy. That is correct. 2023 with 1,250 yards. Who was that?
And went to in
Went to Alabama.
2020. Our leading receiver in 2023. Man, that was a mixed bag. Ooh,
Who was?
This is tough, Allie. This is not as hard. You don't make this as our leading receiver. Oh, Amari Cooper.
Amari Cooper. That is correct. What about in 2022? And the reason I did this is because some of these are obvious, and there was a
Right.
couple that I was like, well, that's shocking. So, I just want to test our Browns knowledge here at the end of the show. 2022, 1,160 yards.
I'm just going to say this. I could be wrong, but I mean, I know we had Amari Cooper for a couple of years. So is it Amari Cooper times 2?
It is Amari Cooper times 2. All right, in 2021, out of Michigan, so this is crazy. In 2021, the leading receiver only had 597 yards.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that just horrific, egregious?
That is egregious. Boy, 2021.
2021.
That's the year we were supposed to be great, but weren't great.
Yeah, 'cause we're like,
Boy,
yards.
Michigan guy. I don't think I know this one.
You do. It is Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Oh, my boy DPJ. I love him. All right.
That you didn't know. All right, 2020 out of LSU.
Odell Beckham.
Incorrect. Jarvis Landry. 2019 out of LSU.
Jarvis Landry.
That would be Jarvis Landry. 2018 out of LSU with 976 yards.
I feel like it's Jarvis Landry. Yeah.
You would be correct in that. Yes. No Odell any of those years. He didn't.
Because I thought that's the 2020 year, right? Like that's where, it's interesting. Yeah.
All right. In 2017, out of the U with 693 yards.
The Chief, David Njoku.
No. So that's what I thought. That was my guess. That was the first one I got incorrect on this list. It is not David Njoku. And I will give you a hint. It is not a wide receiver.
Oh.
Which, again, this just speaks to how bad this team was. That this player at this position was your leading receiver.
8 years ago, so they had to be a tight end, I'm assuming is what you're telling me.
You knew that, but no, it is a running back.
Oh my God. Oh, 2017. Who the hell was the running back in 20? So that's before Nick Chubb. And he went to the U.
Ooh.
Man. Oh, I'm stumped on this one.
All right. It is Duke Johnson.
Wow. That is wild. That is wild. Allie, that is wild. Okay.
All right. 2016, 1,000-yard receiver out of Ohio State. I mean, you got to remember these years. These were the lean years. It was tough. Tough football here. And not in a good way.
this is going to be a wild projection because they put him a wide receiver, Terrell Pryor.
Correct. This is Terrell.
Yes. Yes, I got that one. All right.
Yes, and a great season in 2015 with this player with 1,043 yards out of Louisville.
2015 out of
2015. So again, the lean years. This was a really bad team. Really bad.
Okay, so I don't know if he went from this team to that team,
Okay.
but I'm going to go Josh Gordon.
So that you're not far off. He was in 2012 and I believe 2013. So I just did the past 10 years. So that was close, but played on the same team, and I'll just give it to you here.
Yeah.
It's Gary Barnage. It's a big.
Who is it?
Big play Gary Barnage.
Oh, by the way, he was on the cruise. Remember, Gary Barnage was on the fan cruise. Gary Barnage. Hey, look at that! Giving a shout out to Gary Barnage. We should get him on the show and be like, "Hey, do you know who the leading receiver on the Browns was in 2015?" He'd be like,
Pretty
"Me."
would. It would be good who that was, but yeah.
By the
way,
so he's a big. I mean, he's really nice, but he's thick. He's a big dude. Yeah,
dude. Well,
those were tough.
Former leading receiver.
And I'm correct. I'm correct. I mean, Odell went to LSU, right?
Yeah.
He was an LSU guy, right?
Yeah, you would have thought that one of those three LSU guys would have been Odell Beckham Jr., but no, he was not. He did not have a great career with the Cleveland Browns. But
by the way, Allie, did you watch any other preseason games? Any other NFL preseason games this last weekend?
I had my eye on a couple of things. I mean, I didn't sit down and take notes on every single game.
Okay, so this made me feel better, not because I'm a fan of this team, but did you watch the violent run with Ashton Genty against the Niners?
That's what this was. Yeah, I did.
I was like, and that is why he's Ashton Genty, because like he was like, Now I do have a little fun tidbit. Guess who was at that game, and his birthday was a couple days ago. So happy birthday to Greg Pruitt, the great running back. Pruitt. He was also a Raider, by the way. He played for the Browns and the Raiders, and he was there, and he watched Ashton Genty in person at that game. And he gave me an analysis of a guy that's, rushed 8,000-9,000 yards in the NFL. And he said, love him. He's physical. He's violent. He's going to be great at the next level. But he goes, he just needs to come off balance just a little bit and hit that guy on the side and not hit him full speed. He goes, and he would have really knocked him out. And I was like, pretty cool for like a Browns legendary running back to talk about, a team that he also played for, the current running back of that football team. But I'm excited to see what Ashton Genty can do in the NFL. But after his -1 yard, I was like, okay, there's the Ashton Genty I knew right there. So
yeah, it was a good hit. Want to tell you about our friends over at We Bleed Ohio. If you're looking to get your official Here We Go Brownies podcast shirt or hat, you can head on over to We Bleed Ohio. They make great designs there. Football designs, baseball, basketball. Of course, Here We Go Brownies. You can get it there. It's very, very quick and easy, and they've got a great product. Dustin, why don't you tell our listeners about our newest friend, Crystal John Toney?
Yeah, Crystal, great realtor here in Northeast Ohio. If you're looking for some property to buy, some passive income to invest in, she does that. If you're looking, if you have a rental and you need to get help with that, she can help with that. But she is a great realtor. Boy, I just feel like the real estate market's hot right now here, Allie. Cleveland is voted one of the most affordable cities now in America, number 2 in the country. And the housing market is hot. So check her out, Crystal John Toney. She's actually going to join the cruise as well, September 6th. So if you want to talk to her while we're there on that fan cruise, but man, real estate's hot these days in Cleveland. I'm even kind of like, man, maybe I should start looking at a condo. It's, looking kind of crazy. Our friend Jason, by the way, he's looking for a house. We sent him over to Crystal. So hopefully she's going to be able to help him, get a condo. He's looking at a condo/townhouse right now. So, cool. Allie, you still have your place, right? In South Carolina, you still have your place, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
okay.
I do. Short-term rental. So if you need a place, Myrtle Beach.
And by the way, I've learned that everybody in Ohio, they go to South Carolina or Florida to get away from this for this winter. It's a good place to get away in the wintertime. By the way, I think I'm going to go to Nashville for the first time in the winter this year. Have you? Okay, wait, Allie, you lived in Nashville.
I did live in Nashville. Yeah.
How many years you live in Nashville?
It was. I mean, I was there in college, so it was just in total like 6 months.
Oh, but okay. So how warm is it there in the winter if I went there? Just curious. I know we're getting a little off topic.
It
70s, 60s?
No, it depends. In the winter, like if you go there in January, it's gonna be cold, like
Okay.
between 40s, maybe 50s
Okay.
on a good day. And in
Okay.
the sun's out, it's certainly much more tolerable than Cleveland. But
Okay.
at nighttime, I mean, it's still
So in the
cold.
winter there, it would be like a cooler fall day in Cleveland. Is that fair to say?
It
Yeah.
depends. It really depends
Yeah.
on when you go. I mean, they still get snow. It still gets cold. I mean, even
Mm.
here last year we got snow, like in
Well,
Florida. So
that was a freak accident.
yeah, yeah, that's
The fact that you got several inches of snow there was insane. That was
it still
nuts.
gets cold. It still gets cold. You're gonna need a coat. I'll say that, but it's going to be better than Cleveland. So
Yeah, and I was
um,
going to say, want to give a quick shout out to our hotel, Schofield. If you guys are looking to go to a Browns game in downtown Cleveland, check out our new friends over at the Schofield, right on 9th Street in downtown Cleveland. Book it for if you're going to a Guardians game or a Browns game. A lot of great specials, and they have an amazing restaurant inside that you can check out and enjoy the festivities. A lot of fun.
there you have it. Also, before we wrap up, primetime sports. What's going on there, Dustin? Anything good?
Oh, well, Allie, I don't want to. There might be. Here's the hint, guys. There is a certain player that's going to be coming to Primetime Sports September 20th. And here's your hint, guys. I don't want to put it out there and tell our friends at Primetime Sports, but he's already told me, and I think he's told a lot of people. But Allie, here's your hint, and I know you'll get it, but people that have watched our show the entire time may or may not get it. But we have talked about it being one of our best interviews we've ever done. And he doesn't come to Ohio. So I think Allie might have figured out who's going to be the legendary Browns player that's going to be at the signing. Did you figure it out? September 20th?
I'll have to think about it. I'll ponder. I'll take it offline with you because I don't want to announce it here. Yeah, I'll think about it. But before we wrap up, here you go, Jason.
SOS, I could use a hero right about now. My faith in love is upside down. H-E-R-O, where will we all go? SOS, I could use a hero right about now. My faith in love is upside down. H-E-R-O, I crave a hero. I crave a hero.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you. Stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, Browns fans, go Browns.
Go Browns.